Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Black Moon Astro. This is Meg. This is the fourth part of my series called The Mysteries of Black Moon Lilith. And in these videos, I don't put on any makeup or anything, just because Black Moon Lilith represents the part of ourselves that we're ashamed of, the parts of ourselves that we choose to hide. And so I figured, to embody her as much as I could, one way to do that is to show you my real face. It all started out when I did a video and I was ill. I wasn't feeling too well, and so I filmed it in black and white on my bed, and not fixed up in anything. And I figured, well, that would probably be a good way to continue this series. So here I am, barefaced. I'm 48 years old. I never denied that. And so yeah, this is what Black Moon Lilith needs to do. Black Moon Lilith needs to accept who she is and not be ashamed of herself, because that's the only way to tame the beast. So, as I was discussing in the last video, which was about Taurus in the first house, I'm going through the first house in this series. So, I did Aries, Taurus, and now this is Gemini. To give you a little bit of a background, as I was saying, Black Moon Lilith is not something that is obvious. You don't feel her come out like when you feel your emotions, and you don't feel her not intensely, she is intense, but you don't feel a strong energy within you whenever Black Moon Lilith is triggered. The way she works in a person is very subtle. You need to really, really look within and observe how you react to things when you're triggered. And also observe that hum. It's like a hum. It's a heavy vibe inside of you, and it's fear-based. Okay, it's fear-based, but it's not hysterical until it decides to be, if your Mars or Moon would allow it. But anyway, let's go into what triggers Gemini, because I can give you the description of Gemini. Gemini is the sign that rules communication. It has to do with the hands, information, processing information, receiving information, short distance travel, transportation, contracts. These are Gemini matters. But what we need to look at is, what does Gemini value, and what would trigger or make a person with Black Moon Lilith in Gemini come out or react. And so if you think about Gemini, a person who probably feels he is being restricted from speaking his mind, from getting information, from communicating, or a person whose words have been twisted around, a person who maybe when it comes to bondage, because Black Moon Lilith also represents our sexuality, our fantasies. But Black Moon Lilith never really acts on these fantasies. These are things that are there. Okay, so bondage would be one, because hands, So handcuffs and all these ways of tying yourself up. That would be a fantasy of a person with Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. And when it comes to how it's manifested or where it's directed at, when it's in the first house, like I said in the first video, it's directed at the self. And so, self-talk, listen to how you talk to yourself, how you speak to yourself, what you think of all the time. It could do you a lot of harm. The thoughts that you have, the evil thoughts, when I say evil, I mean like we all get angry, and we all have this side of us where we have thought the worst thoughts possible. And that is what Black Moon Lilith represents. The things that we don't want to admit even to ourselves because we feel guilty about, or we don't want to admit to anybody because it won't make us look good, right? We're ashamed of it. And when I say bring it to the light, I don't mean do the things that you've always wanted to do, or what your Black Moon Lilith has wanted to do. No, it means look at it, recognize that there is that side of you. And once you do, that's when she is tamed. That's when you understand. We always fail we always falter with lack of understanding. And we take so much time trying to understand all sorts of things, our work, what's going on in the world, COVID, science, whatever it is that interests us. But we never really stop and try to understand ourselves. And this is what I believe is the best use for tools like astrology, because it gives you so much clarity. If you've ever had a reading, you'll be amazed at how specific an astrologer can be when they tell you details about who you are, and even about your life events or your family or where you came from and stuff like that. So when I look at a chart and I see Black Moon Lilith, I know that it's going to be a very difficult aspect of the chart to discuss, because the clients, of course, don't know me, and even if they did, I don't think they'd want to tell me that they enjoyed bondage, and these are things that are private. Black Moon Lilith is the most private part of a chart. And so my job as an astrologer is to bring to light this area of a chart. And I always start off by telling my clients that they don't need to acknowledge it or tell me it's true or admit to it. They only need to listen to what the interpretation is, and it's up to them what they do with it. I just help them see for themselves what it is, and so they can understand why sometimes, you see, Black Moon Lilith is insidious, but it's harmful to self, because it's when you're alone in silence, and then there are these fears that you don't understand. This heavy nervous feeling, these insecurities, these things that scare you the most. And usually it's the things about yourself that you just can't look at. When you look at the mirror, what do you see? Do you really, really look at yourself in the mirror? That's what an astrology chart can do. So this placement in Gemini. So if anybody triggers you, tries to stop you from speaking, restricts you from speaking your mind, from freely thinking the way you want, somebody trying to control the way you think, somebody, yeah, that would be one very, very triggering factor for a person with Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. And when I see these things, you can't it sounds as if it's trivial. It sounds like, Black Moon Lilith is deep, but then so if I just restrict someone from speaking, this person is going to go berserk, or it's going to trigger. Yes, because the things that trigger us sometimes are petty, but it affects us. The things that scare us the most are trivial matters on many occasions. Take a good look at yourself and really, really watch how and listen to how you react to certain things. And usually the things you react to are small things, such as being restricted from speaking, or being told that you can't think this or do that, or study this or study that because it's wrong, or you come from a very conservative family and they have certain ways or certain dogma, and you're told that you can't research or learn and explore other forms of worship. And these things are restricting to a curious mind like Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, and it rules the mind. It's very curious. It wants to gather as much information as possible. It has a lot of questions in its head. So a Black Moon Lilith with Gemini would be triggered, regardless of the zodiac sign, of the sun sign, the moon, or the Mercury, or what. This is a trigger within a person that runs deep. So restricting a person with Black Moon Lilith in Gemini would make this person react. And the reaction, if you are the person with that placement, the reaction will be subtle. So with Aries, it's like a jerk, because Aries is fire. With Taurus, it's heavy. With Gemini, being an air sign, it's like a bus. So I was thinking earlier of what, it's like a bee. Imagine a bee. So there's that kind of frenetic energy inside that's always there. And it will only come out if you are, if you are prone to it, depending on the placement of the moon, how you are going to process your triggers, and depending on your Mars, how you express your anger, your rage, your passions. Black Moon Lilith always works in tandem with the moon. You're talking about coming out in the open, then your Mars is the expression of your Black Moon Lilith. So you can have your Black Moon Lilith in a very fiery sign like Aries, but then let's say your Mars is in Virgo. And so when you express all that fire, you're still going to do it in a Virgo manner, which is methodical and clear and organized and compartmentalized, and not as, although Virgo has a side wherein they can go totally, they can completely lose it. But even then, it's not going to be as loud as Mars in Aries. Right, but we're not looking now at the moon and Mars. Okay, I just want to discuss how you can recognize the triggers within you when your Black Moon Lilith is acting up. It's crucial to feel it, because once you do, that's the only time it can calm down. Otherwise, you'll be living as if you were a volcano ready to erupt without warning at any moment. And this happens to all of us, right? So knowing your Black Moon Lilith, awareness and consciousness of who you are, is crucial to your growth, to your evolution. That is your Black Moon Lilith in Gemini.